So the Stewardship campaign is in full gear. Hopefully you received your letters. If you didn't and you would like one, don't hesitate to ask me. We'll be happy to send one to you. And there are pledge cards in the back. But as part of our season of celebrating all the wonderful ministries at St. Peter's in the Woods, we've asked Chris Camillo to come and say a few words about the Giving Garden, and Chris is also a member of our vestry. So thank you, Chris.
Good morning. So I'm going to talk to you about how the Giving Garden started, why I got involved, and how it's important for stewardship. I started the Giving Garden during lockdown. I was at home watching the news like many of you and listening to stories about people losing their jobs, food insecurity growing in our community, and I thought, what can we at St. Peter's do? There must be something that we can do, because I don't like to just sit back when there's a problem. I think, how can I get involved? So I knew that there was a garden plot in the back, and it had become overgrown. So I thought, maybe we can revive this. And that's how the Giving Garden started. And I started to talk to some people, and Debbie was one of them, Debbie Sweetlick, and she said, why don't you get connected with a pantry that's close by and see if they can take the vegetables if you produce them. So we found UMC Burke, which is just down the street, and they had actually just converted their parish hall into a pantry. And they were starting to give out vegetables and other foods 3 times a week. It's phenomenal with the work that they do over there. So we asked them if we could drop off our vegetables, and they of course agreed. And so we started producing. Now the first year, I'm going to tell you, it was kind of really a disaster a bit. I bought a bunch of pepper plants. They all died. They got a fungus and they all died. Tomato hornworms were attacking my tomatoes, and I really didn't count how much we grew that year. We donated small amounts. But last year, we donated 83 pounds, and this year 108 pounds, and we had 31 people in the congregation that got involved, from the smallest kids planting to our youth group also planting, people helping to weed and water, people donating containers, helping to set up the deer netting, doing all kinds of things. So 31 people were involved in that way. But I want to tell you a little bit about what the Giving Garden has done for me personally. Because often when we volunteer, we give, but we also get back, right? So for me, when the church was closed, I lost my sanctuary. When it was closed during lockdown, I couldn't come here. I couldn't feel God's presence in this sanctuary. So, but when I was in the back, that became my sanctuary. I had a new outdoor sanctuary. And I could feel God's presence. I could see animals scurrying around. I could see I could hear birds see and hear birds. And it gave me a sense of calm. I felt God's presence, and I also felt a sense of calm in a time where we were all feeling a lot of chaos. Who's going to get sick with COVID, and when are we going to get a vaccine? But that really helped me personally being back there. So how does the Giving Garden relate to stewardship? Well, every year there's a cycle for the Giving Garden, which starts in February, where I plant the seedlings and they're in my basement and I'm trying to grow everything, until today was actually our last day when I started pulling up the old plants. So when you pledge, that helps me to know that I will have a budget that I can use for those 9 months to support the garden. So that's why it's very important. And what does the budget buy? Deer netting, soil, seedling trays, all kinds of little things, fertilizer that we really need to have a successful garden. So by participating and helping volunteer in the garden and by pledging to support us financially, you are having an impact. And I can't tell you how many families have benefited from the food that we've donated, but I can tell you that every time I've gone to UMC to drop off, there's been a line of people waiting for food. So that's the impact that you have. And I just hope you'll continue to think about how you can support the church, and including the Giving Garden in the coming year. Thank you.
Thank you.